Welcome to art class. I'm so excited to be with you again. I'm missing all of you. Today we're going to talk for a minute about what we need to use for our project today. Because I want moms to be able to kind of look and set things up for you before you begin this. I recommend to cover your surface of your table with newspapers. And you can use paint of any kind. I've got a whole, I have a whole array of tools here. I've got construction paper crayons. I've got those, what are those called? Soybean crayons. I've got oil pastels. And these, boys and girls, are just tempera paints from the grocery store that you can use for this project, no problem. And if you're going to use your watercolor box, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but you need to moisten the paints right now so that they have a chance to kind of wake up. And I recommend a smock. Now this is a acorn smock, but you know what works just great? An old t-shirt. Ask mom or big brother or big sister if they have an old t-shirt, even if you have one. Just put an old t-shirt on so that if you get some paint on your clothes, it doesn't make any difference. So this is just, we're going to do a little painting project today. Oh, and you need a grocery sack. Now, if you don't have a grocery sack, that's fine. But you could ask mom when she goes to the grocery store to get you an H-E-B bag. And because this has all this stuff on it, what I did was cut it right here. I cut the bottom out of it, and then we can just turn this thing inside out. So you have a brown paper sack to work on. And you'll see why this is in just a second. But Miss Sudi, I haven't got a brown paper sack. Well, you know what? A piece of paper is great. Doesn't have to be construction paper. Just has to be a piece of paper. It can be a piece of white paper if you want to try this. But I chose brown and orange. And I also purchased and have for you guys in your portfolios brown lunch bags, because that's what we normally do this project on, our brown lunch bags. And I just try to paint on the side where there isn't the seam, just the flat side, just because it makes it prettier. But you don't have to have any of these. I want you to be comfortable with using anything you have at home to make this fun, because this is for fun. All right, I'm going to walk back over here, and I'm going to tell you about our inspirational artist today. Our inspirational artist is a lovely San Antonio woman whose name is Adriel McGill. Adriel McGill was an artist in San Antonio, very, very well thought of and famous in town. And she was born in 1924, and she died just a few years ago in 2013. She is the most famous for her paintings that are on, what are these? Brown paper sacks. Wendy brought me a couple of hers, and they're just the beautiful ones, and they're on brown paper sacks. And these are ones that I have. And then she was famous for selling her art at Night in Old San Antonio. And this is a bag from Night in Old San Antonio. Mrs. McGill was a very woman who loved San Antonio. So she painted paper bags and she sold them at Night in Old San Antonio to raise money for the Conservation Society. And so these all came from that, from those. And they were not expensive, they were $5. So she always was helping in the community, just like you can, helping in the community. But her paintings are mainly about Mexico and the joy of Mexico and their celebrations. Mexico has a lot of really joyous celebrations. You remember when we talked about Dia de los Muertos? and how there's special food, special art, special ceremonies, and it's all very joyful. Well, she's capturing that joy in her pictures. And this is in rural Mexico, not in the cities, but in rural Mexico. And you can see a really nice YouTube of Mrs. McGill painting if you go to Adriel McGill YouTube. Squeaky was her nickname. So Adriel Squeaky McGill. Also, boys and girls, on the internet are a lot of images of hers. For instance, at Northwood Elementary School in the foyer is a large Adriel McGill painting, really cute, of children in a schoolyard. So there's lots of them. So before you begin painting and turn this, if you need to turn this off, ask Mom to get some of the images up for you to look at on the computer. But you don't have to do that. You can just have fun with this. Okay, let's start talking about Mrs. McGill. I like to do this because it's a fiesta artist. Mrs. McGill wrote this little book. And this is really cute because on the back of this is a picture of Squeaky McGill with the gray hair and her friend Aubrey Carter Smith. When Squeaky and Aubrey were young girls, they wanted to raise money to save the manatees. Does anyone know what a manatee is? We looked at that earlier this year. Here is a great picture of a manatee. Manatees are great, big, beautiful, slow-moving mammals that live in Florida. And they get hit by the boats. And so motorboats hit them and hurt them in waters when they're not being protected. So these two girls decided they were going to draw pictures and write a story to raise money for conservation of this wonderful mammal, the manatee. So let me read that book to you, and I want you to look at the pictures. Okay? When they were in high school in the 1940s, they wrote this book together. It was on a shelf, and 73 years later, they found it. And they decided to get it out and to work on it. So this is called Merrily Manatee by Aubrey Carter Smith and Squeaky McGill. Adriel McGill. Merrily Manatee, where are you hiding? Please come to the surface so we can go riding. I'll jump on your back with my arms round your neck, and together we'll dive to the site of the wreck. Look at this. See, this page is in the shape of the manatee, but here's a wonderful picture. And see how Miss McGill has illustrated it with different things that you can put on your pictures. Flowers, seaweed. Look at this picture, isn't that cute? A pirate ship, wow, in the depths of the sea, all covered with sand, shells, and starfish. I seen iron ribs and old cannons, all rusty and buried, in sand and red coral and fishes unhurried, swimming in and around the ghost ship, broken bones, while spirits of pirates make deep, scary moans. Not really. An octopus waving his long skinny arms said, please come closer. I'll do you no harm. Look at that cute face. With tentacles waving, he showed us the way to unbind the chest and reveal the display. Look at Merrily Manatee's face, isn't that cute? And shiny gold starfish with diamonds galore, anemones, conchas, and coral designs, wove fantasy scenes in the deep ocean brine, in flashes of moonlight with jewels aglow, and glittering glimpses of gold in the flow. Look at, there's a heart-shaped chest with things coming out of it. Love it. Look at her manatee. Look over here, she's got a ring around his head. Merrily Manatee, this treasure's for you. You've earned it because you're kind and true blue. You are a mammal like me. You nurse your new babies to teach them to see and teach them to see. Now tourists are flighty. They come here to play, not watching for sea life, and put you in harm's way. And now, dear children, I'm happy to say she's loved and protected with smiles every day, with garlands of diamonds and jewels in her tail and a gold starfish dancing on her large, round, flat tail. And that is the end. The book and the manatees is not so important, boys and girls, as the illustrations. I want you to look at the art. You can certainly do some research on manatees because they're wonderful, big, beautiful, slow-moving mammals. Now, let's look at some of these pictures and let's talk about how we're going to paint our paper bag. Remember, I told you that if you're going to use water paints, you certainly may, but you need to keep them kind of dry, because your sack will get really wet. So I'm going to moisten my paints. Remember how we do that? Remember, that's waking them up. Okay, if you're going to use that kind, I want you to use what you have at home. And I want you to think about how you're going to make your pictures look. These are some that have been painted by boys and girls through the years. And I'll give you a few ideas, and then I want you to have fun with it, and then ask Mom to send me a picture of what you did. And remember, you don't have to have a paper bag. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's look at this now. Remember, if you're going to use this kind of a bag, you have more surface to cover, but it's fine, or you can just make it smaller. And these just come from the grocery store. You just have to ask for them for this. So I'm going to take this size bag, and I'm just going to do some copying, and I'm going to show you about it. I like to put these 3 stained glass windows on my paper bag, Adrienne McGill painting, Squeaky McGill, because it is it's a real easy way to make it really cheerful. So I'm going to start in the middle of the bag. I'll start in the middle of the bag, and I'm going to make 3 ovals. I love turquoise. That's one of my favorite colors. And I think it adds very well. Now, oh, you know what I forgot to mention? If you have enough brushes to use one for each color, then use one for each color. If you don't, wash it in between. You're at home. You can have a jar of water and by your paint at your table where you're painting, and you can swish it out and use your dabber-upper. You remember our scientific dabber-uppers. You can use that to clean your brush. Now inside this, you see there's several colors. I like the white especially, and I had to hunt around until I found some white paint today. So you can use that on the inside of your... And remember, kids, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is just for fun. You can do 15 of them if you want to. I know, that's a lot of paintings, isn't it? And I'm going to use one brush for each color. Oh, I found this cool purple. And I'm going to do some little dots inside here. Trying to make the color of the window. Some boys and girls like to make rainbows on this bag, and that's a great idea too. I think I'll do some red inside this one. I'm going to put some red right here. Do you remember when we did this with pointillism, boys and girls? We put our colors close together, but we didn't mix them. We let the eye do it. So I kind of like those windows on my picture. Now look at right here. This is a really fun thing that I'd like you to try on your bag, is to make it look really fun and festive with these colors coming out, because that can be also like fireworks, like fireworks up in the sky that we normally have at fiesta time. So let's try that. Remember, you're going to use a really happy brush. That means this is really nice and soft with your hands. And you're going to make lovely little feathery shapes. And you can do as many of them as you want. You see right here, Squeaky has flowers in the middle, and that's a fun thing to do too. Oh, you know, I think I need some yellow. What do you think? Oh, you know what? I didn't have any orange. So look what I did. I mixed red and yellow to make orange. Before I mix it up, I'm going to use some yellow here. Okay, now let's mix this up and see what we get. Didn't find, boy, that red is strong, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to add some more yellow to it. Remember when we learned about what two colors make orange? Red and yellow. It's a very strong red, so it doesn't go to orange too quick. We can use some of these colors down here in our stained glass windows also. So I want you to think about what you can do to make this really fun and make it really joyous. Look at this one. This is like a candelabra. And look at how she made the flames. Isn't that fun? And I love this folk angel in that one. You can do all of this with the tools that I have taught you in our art classes, boys and girls. So have fun with this. Create your own Adriel McGill. Enjoy Fiesta. Fiesta is a time when there's a huge amount of artwork done and enjoyed by everyone. So try it and see what you want to do of your own. Okay, I hope you enjoy. Send me a picture. I want to see your bag or your piece of paper or your whatever. Paper towel, whatever. Bye!